I think we should get started now, right?
So we've got people coming in and out. We're going to wander our virtual party room here and see who we can find. But we've got a lot of guests coming. We'll take a break at the top of the hour, but we do have a plan.
And Larry, I think I see some people. We should go over there.
Okay.
Over there to go see some scientists.
Oh.
All right. Hey.
Hello.
Look, we found this corner where the scientists have taken over the party.
Well, they'll do that if you let them, you know. That's the best
party
kind.
Animals.
Oh my goodness, it's so good to see you, Dr. Erin Macdonald. Tell me, I'm sorry if I'm saying your doctor. Dr. Abby Fraeman? Are you a doctor too?
Hi.
Doctor?
Yes, she is.
Professor,
yes.
Doctor?
From JPL. Yes. And then we've got Mohamed Noor here, who's from Duke University. And Mohamed was very kind enough to share his book with me ages ago. Yay. There we go. Get it in. Yay. It's autographed too, but that'll just totally blow my galactic screen. But we've got our scientist corner here, two of them who sometimes earn a paycheck from Star Trek, actually, on top of their science. And Dr. Abby, I know, who was, I think it's safe to say, was probably inspired by Star Trek. Yeah. For your corner of the science world, as were Erin and Mohamed too. I know.
Yeah, I have a question. I'm going to start with Erin. Erin, is there like a wacky, wild scientific concept that you haven't seen in Star Trek yet, but you would like to see?
Oh, that's a great question. Hi, Aliza. Hi, Larry. It's nice to be here. I've got my Romulan ale with my tula berries in it.
Okay.
Yep. So yeah, that's an awesome question. It's so funny because I did my doctorate in gravitational waves. So I've always been a big sucker for general relativity and gravitational waves, but they have cropped up occasionally. We saw gravitational waves in TNG, and then just recently in Lower Decks, they mentioned having it difficulty programming the gravitational waves, which actually spoke very near and dear to my heart. But yeah, I think, there's so much that we can play with. And one of the things I love is because Star Trek has existed for so long that you can almost date the shows by the type of things that they're discovering and the types of anomalies that they're finding. And so I'd be really excited to see things like, dealing with more types of multiverse theories, more types of getting into black holes, more types of like dark energy, for example, just stuff that's still on the cusp that we haven't quite broken into yet. And I think we're not far off from that. So I would love to, but now, I have to kind of keep my mouth shut because I can maybe have some influence.
I was going to say, this is not the time to keep your mouth shut. This is the time to speak up, girl. Come on.
Right. So yeah, I think it's no amount of, I can't convey how much stress now it's starting to keep me up at night. The idea that, I'm actually contributing something to Star Trek science canon. The weight, Larry.
Oh my goodness. That actually leads me into a question for Professor Noor. If there is any, this might be a political question, but is there any past Star Trek science that you would like to retcon?
Oh, that's a great question. Oh, yeah. Thanks, by the way, for having me. Great to see you guys.
Yeah,
great to see you.
I'd like
and
to
be honest. Now, be honest.
I will.
Okay.
I'd like to retcon a little bit the Next Generation episode, The Chase, and add a lot more nuance to the way that was presented. Because the way it was presented, like the science there, it was a heroic effort. It was a good attempt, but it doesn't actually work the way it's laid out. I would love to go in at some point in time and like make it so it does work. There's a few just little tweaks you could add to the explanation.
And we should say that the chase was Professor Galen, and it's supposedly the great key to why everybody in Star Trek is a bipedal humanoid with bumps.
Exactly.
Right. They're trying to explain our preservers. The DNA is seeded around the galaxy, and we see Romulans, Klingons, Cardassians, and humans and Vulcans all figuring this major event out, and it all happens on a little soundstage.
Yeah, excellent summary. I mean, the biggest problem is just you can't have that much predeterminism, right? That over 4 billion years, you have exactly the same outcome. I mean, there's no way you could do that, but there's little tweaks you could have where basically something along the lines of either a more recent, contact or more recent manipulation or something like that, that would actually make it work fine. So I would love to do that, but
Cool.
I don't think they're going to revisit that episode though. Realistically.
Well, never say never.
It's true. It's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there have been episodes or like concepts that have been revisited in Star Trek throughout the different series. So maybe there'll be a different version of that.
Definitely, if they ever ask me on that one, I would be happy to contribute with that.
All right.
I hear this idea they're going to be cranking out series right and left here as the years go by, and they're going to be needing filler science, not filler science, but going to some of those.
Good science.
If we can go back to the Telosians, we're going to go back to everything.
Oh yeah,
so,
good point.
Yeah.
Good point.
Yeah. And Dr. Abby, we were wondering, can you tell us about what about Star Trek inspired you to get into science? And also tell us what you're doing right now, because
I was going to say, can we say we need to let everybody know, Dr. Abby, correct me if I'm wrong, you're driving the rover or one of the rovers on Mars?
Yeah. So hi, Larry and Aliza. It's nice to meet you.
Great to meet you. Yeah.
And, So my job is called a planetary scientist. I work at NASA's JPL, Jet Propulsion Laboratory, and big chunk of my job is actually driving the Curiosity Mars rover on the surface of Mars. So I'm a geologist by training, and I help look at the images of Mars that we're sending back and thinking about what we're seeing in the rocks and their chemistry and their textures and what measurements we want to make with the rover and where we want to drive the rover, and how that all helps us in our understanding about the planet. What was its history like? Was it once a habitable place? And so we're really exploring Mars, not quite with a starship, but I think pretty close to what we have today. But yeah, myself and many of my coworkers were definitely inspired by Star Trek growing up. I will say I'm of the Voyager generation. That's my show. I love Captain lady scientist with this amazing command of his starship. And so I watched a lot of that. And the thought that we could actually be exploring strange new worlds for real. And we're literally sending our rover where no human has ever gone before. And I think they're so cool that we can do that today for real.
And we have active sampling, right? It's actively taking samples, and we have instrumentation that can do sensing and then relay the data back. So we're not worried about taking the moon rocks and having to get them back home. The whole idea of the rover is to keep doing sampling and sensoring, all of tricordering, and sending it back and giving you active data to have as the exploration continues, right?
Yeah, certainly. Well, for now, we have things. We've got a drill on the rover that can collect rock powder and put it into our onboard science analytical laboratories. We've got a laser on the rover that we can use to zap rocks up to 4 meters away. But we'd love to grab a chunk of Mars and bring it back to Earth. Throw the full weight of our analytical capabilities into analyzing those. So the next rover that we just launched a couple weeks ago, the Perseverance Mars rover, is actually going to be the first step in that sequence of collecting very carefully chosen samples of Mars rocks to bring them back to Earth. And don't worry, we're being very, very careful. Make sure that we're going to protect ourselves if there's anything in those rocks that might harm us. We're going to have many, many layers of containment. So we're going to be very safe about it.
Great. I actually have a question for all of you from our chat.
Oh, it's
Glenn Vegas. Glenn Vegas says, I would like to know if anyone on the screen met their future significant others through Star Trek.
Oh,
I did. I mean, my wife and I used to watch Next Generation together back when it was coming out, and that definitely helped with the dating phase.
Now wait. How did you actually meet me? Was that at a truck event?
We didn't meet me. We were in the same graduate program, but then we'd sometimes do things together. But frequently, I'd say hey, do you want to watch Star Trek? And the answer was always yes. And I was like, this is the right person.
Oh, that's so sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I love that. Yeah, and my current partner, we met at work, but there was another sci-fi franchise that begins with star and ends with a different word that
how dare
right, he had referenced on one of his mugs, and I have many tattoos of many different franchises, and so that was how we started the conversation. But definitely Star Trek played a big role in that, and having, I think some of the people have probably seen him, met him alongside me at conventions and stuff. He loves going to these things and dressing up, and it's a nice partnership.
Oh, that's so sweet. That's lovely.
Abby, do you guys have doodads at your desks, like action figures? And are you allowed to?
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
I was just, yeah.
There are people. Unfortunately, I'm not at work. I haven't been able to be there for a while, but there are.
Right.
There's lots of Star Trek memorabilia around. I'll leave that. But yes, Star Trek and the other Star franchise we won't talk about.
It's okay, guys. We're all one big happy fleet.
I love how it's become like the forbidden name.
It's not like Macbeth. Oh, I almost said it.
Oh. Love it.
Well, let's see. We got another question in the chat here from Lieutenant Bodai Cooper. Gravitational waves and the idea of warp speed. How related are they?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm going to take that one.
I was going to say,
that's all yours.
I would add in how much of our ideas, because the theories around gravity are changing, right? Evolving. And we've got a 50-year franchise that's going to go on a little longer. So
yeah.
How does all that
certainly, I think most people learn about gravity. I'll make this as brief as possible. Most of the people learn about gravity, the idea of Newton, right? Apple falling on the head. It's a force, falls down as far as the distance between them. But Einstein was the one that actually started solving, there was a lot of stuff that Newton's gravity didn't work when we started observing space. And so he realized that actually our idea of this fabric of space-time, you put a bowling ball on a trampoline, and that causes, this dip. And then that whole idea of space-time is really related to warp drive, because warp drive is saying that nothing on the surface of space-time can go faster than the speed of light, but warp drive works by building that trampoline around your ship and then propelling your ship faster than the speed of light. So with gravitational waves, this was a thing that Einstein predicted, where he said, when things change in space, when stars explode, when things crash into each other like black holes, it sends out these ripples in space-time. Like that trampoline is just going to ripple. And it's incredibly hard to detect. But in 2015, we made the first detection ever of gravitational waves. And it was literally detecting the motion of space-time itself. And so like anything, we theorize about it. We see the indirect effects. We see light get curved around these gravitational wells. And then we detected space-time itself. So the next step is to learn to play with it. And that's how we get warp drive.
Ooh, well, I hope that we learn how to do that soon.
Me too.
Evil scientists. Hey, Abby, I want to ask you, Dr. Abby, I should say, what's back as you're driving? It's what opportunity is yours?
Curiosity.
Curiosity. Sorry. What's been the biggest, has there been a shock? Has there been a big revelation that's come out of its travels?
So many. Mars continually surprises us with opportunity and spirit and curiosity, and all the rovers we've had. We're continually finding new, unexpected things. The biggest finding from Curiosity is that the rocks in the area we landed in was once an ancient lake that was probably very nice kind of water that could have supported life. And we've also found organic molecules, the building blocks of life were present in this lake. So that was a very fun, unexpected, exciting discovery.
Any humanoid DNA seed cones that the preservers might have thrown? Oh, I guess not. Okay.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Oh,
I like that answer. Yeah.
This is so much fun to talk to you all. And thank you for joining us and blessing us with your science knowledge and your trekkiness.
Thank you for having us.
I think I see some other folks over there, but let's also put a splash on the screen.
I was going to say, as we wander, we don't want to let anybody not carry on the conversation with any of our folks here.
Yes.
So yes, take just a second and
we'll see you guys later.
In fact, I'm going to